Thanks for being here. Thanks, Jenna, for the host. I'll before I kick it off, I'll pass it over to you. But I know as Rick just explained, it is a potentially busy day for a lot of folks in the US. So thanks for coming to spend your time with us here. I'm excited to dig in, answer some questions, and tell some stories.
Very excited to be here, and I'm glad that everybody else was able to make it. So today we're going to talk about the Skool Analytics, and since Skool released the analytics, we've actually noticed a few things where there's been a good majority of people that have a lot of data and are looking at their Skool Analytics and are super excited. It's amazing, and they completely understand it. But then we also have other people that either don't have enough data or they're brand new to school, brand new to business, and they're looking at Skool Analytics, hearing how great it is, and they're going, what? So I knew Matt would have the sauce when it comes to Skool Analytics, and I was hoping that he would be able to share, break it down, make it easy for everybody to just look at it and feel empowered looking at it rather than feeling confused. So thank you so much for taking your time to share it with us.
It is my pleasure. When Jenna puts out the burn signal instead of the bat signal, I heed the call. So I am here and happy and excited. And what we are going to cover today, I could basically talk the entire time, but I would love for this to be interactive. When you have questions, the questions that you may already have, basically when you're looking at your own data, I would love for you to just put them in the chat room. That way we could answer those questions and make sure we talk about them. But what I did was I basically went through every screen that Sam and Kirby shared during their last school news, or sorry, two school newses ago when the analytics came out, and they dove into it, but it wasn't interactive, right? It was more of a presentation. So if you haven't seen that, I highly, highly recommend it. But the intention of today is that we're just going to expound upon it and answer questions and just explain a little bit about it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'll do a quick intro. Sorry, now you'll know me, and then we'll dive right in. But yes, thank you. My name is Matt, and why did Jenna actually ask me? Do I have blackmail on her? Like, what is the thing? Are we selling something? No, none of those things are happening. We're here to give value, our good friend value. And as Hormozy says, right, you guys have a dream outcome. You want to make sure that you can achieve it. You don't want it to take forever, and you don't want it to be hard. And that's value. That's what we are giving today. What I like to start off with is my own little version here, which I am dubbing the clarity equation instead of the value equation. And so my hope with this, that you can see it first off, let me know if there's any issues with the visuals here. But my hope is that I will establish some proof as to why I can talk about this. I'll do so clearly and, keep doing it essentially. I'll let you guys know there's no self-interest, try to make it as simple as possible, and then I will hopefully have established my credibility here. So, in that vein, where do I know analytics from? This is a bad screenshot here. But I spent almost the past decade helping build a company called Monday.com. And the long story made quite short is that when I saw the Skool Analytics, I was flabbergasted. I could not believe the power that they have given us because Skool Analytics are just absolutely top tier. Things that we spent quite literally years trying to figure out. To get the data to measure to make it simple, we had to build our own software tools to get this data applicable to us. We had an entire team called Big Brain. Literally, we called them the Big Brain, and all they did was look at our data and try to make present what Skool has basically just given for us. So if you've not heard of me, just a couple things about me here, but I did spend the past 10 years doing that. I love horror things. I love video games. I love comedy. I was the first employee for Monday in the US, all this fun stuff. You could pause it and watch it in the recording. The real people who carry our company are my dear wife, Nicole, and our chief marketing officer and head of public relations, Zuko and Kaito. But today we are here to talk about analytics. So that's enough about me. And again, I would love to know y'all's questions. So let me know, put them in the chat, whether it's questions about your own data, whether it's questions about anything else that you've got going on. Feel free to drop it there. But let's see, what does AI have to say about analytics? Well, we don't really care too much about this, but the process of discovering, interpreting, and communicating meaningful patterns is pretty much a good explanation here. Ultimately, what are analytics? What are data? We just want to know what's going on. We're human beings. We like to understand the situation we're in, and so we want to make smarter choices with it. So when you measure data, the only thing that really matters, in my opinion, and the opinions of the C-suite at Monday, I think I've even heard Hormozy talk about this, but if it doesn't actively change your behavior in what you are doing for your business, it's not really worth paying attention to. So, in that sense, Skool gave us a lot of data. We now have the ability to do it, but there are some ground rules that are going to be very, very important. And the first one is that if you don't have a lot of data, don't really pay too much attention to it, because the law of large numbers gives you a little bit more understanding of what's going on. If you have two people that visit your about page one day and they don't join the community, well, you have a 0% conversion rate and it looks like your business is dead. And then you have two people visit the next day and they both join, and suddenly you have a 100% conversion rate, right? So you need to make sure that you do have enough numbers to be able to play with. Jacob says, is this going to be in reference to the free version of analytics or the paid or both? Yeah, the idea is both. What questions you have based off of your experience, drop them in the chat. I'm here to answer and make that easy for you guys. So I sorted this by number of exclamation points in terms of difficulty of what it takes for data. And the hardest part is really to collect it and organize it, quite truly. Skool has this on lock for us. We just click a dashboard and there it is. Kind of insane to me. Uh, but then once you have it, you have to think, okay, well, what are the patterns? And then you have to decide. Anybody actually know the origin of the word decide? Feel free to drop your interpretation of it in the chat, right? But it essentially means that you are cutting off options. You are removing possibilities. So deciding on the data means you have to stop guessing and actually start doing stuff and making an understanding. So I'm going to dive into some screenshots here. But the first thing I want to talk about is, how do you find a pattern? What do you even try to look for when it comes to your data? What should you pay attention to? As you continue to grow, again, those numbers are going to get more significant for you. But right now, you're just going to probably be. I would wager that if you're just getting started, the best advice I could possibly give you is get more traffic, because that will give you the data that will then tell you a lot more about your situation. But you have to basically figure out what the heck is going on in terms of growing your community. So these are situations that you could be running into with a paid community, right? You could have a situation where your MRR is going up, but so is your churn. That could happen. You could have your conversion rate increase when you increase your price. You could maybe notice that month 3 is when the most churn happens. And this is what we found to be the case for a $1 billion SaaS startup called Monday. And Sam even mentioned that in the analytics call. It's like month 3 is kind of where people tend to fall off. And I would wager what we learned, and what you guys probably will see in your own experiences growing your communities, is if you don't have a clear journey for the user mapped out, like literally a map of where you want them to go. They start here, right? Where do they end? A course ends, a program ends, a community is pretty ongoing, but those things can end too. That's what we like to call lifetime value, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But they're going to be going through all these different things. And, right here might be a particular struggle. Right here might be a particular struggle. Right here, they might have a win. And right here, they might have a win. But they're going through this journey throughout your community and through the experience of your product, your community, etc. And ultimately, you need to understand, where are those moments? Where are those moments where I need to interject? And we typically will call those in business like a cohort. If you notice that every time month 3 rolls around, you'll know that for your cohort that was signed to your community in a few months prior, that will be a great place for you to say, okay, I noticed that now we're having this churn here. People are leaving. Why are they leaving? Talk to the people, try to understand. These are, again, what the heck is happening? And that's what data should ideally help you discover or point you in the direction so you sniff it out and you find out what's going on. I see a chat question. Victoria says, what's a good amount of traffic to get, say, over a 30-day period of time from which to make an informed decision? Great question. Great question. Victoria, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to try to simplify it and just make sure I understand it properly. Your question is, how do I know when I should start really paying attention to these numbers? Right? When is there a moment or a metric or some other time where it's like, yes, now I can trust it? And that's going to be completely dependent on the community. Unfortunately, there's no like super clear, this is the answer. What I see happening on Skool a lot for early communities is get to 100 about page visitors a week. Some people could do that in a day. Some people can't do that in a week. It's okay. Only judge yourself on yourself, right? But when you're looking at that new metric that they have, that 30-day period, you really want to try to get 100 about page visitors a week typically, which will end up being around 3 to 400 a month, let's just say. That will give you a pretty good indication of where your business is at. Because if you only have 10 people visiting a month or so like that, you're not gonna have nearly as much data or nearly as much impact as if you have several hundred. So I would encourage you to just if you are not getting, let's say, 1,000 page visitors over the course of a month, your job is probably going to be to get more traffic. That's that's what the data will tell you, is try to get more traffic to your thing. And again, it depends on if it's free, if it's paid. There's a lot of variables there, but that's a great question. If you feel like that question has more to it that I can expand upon or I didn't touch upon, please feel free to add follow-up questions. I'm happy to answer. All right, you guys able to see this screenshot? I hope this is from the Skool News, and this was Sam's kind of demo community here. But you're going to notice. So I was actually with what I am understanding is going to be a Skool Games winner very soon. I got to hang out with him yesterday. While I was showing him the analytics and the dashboard, he had like 5 or 6 customers come in. So it was really, really cool to see. But what surprised him was that you can actually click on these things. So just in case you didn't know, you can click on this and get more information. So we're going to talk about each one of these and what they mean. But ultimately, this is going to be the place where you can come in and see over the course of, let's say, 30 days or the past year. You dive into each one. We'll show you an example. But these are going to tell you how many people do you have, how much money you making on a monthly basis, how many of those people are typically joining, let's say out of 100, right? And then you have your retention, which basically means are people sticking around? What are they doing here? Right. So if you have any questions about what these things mean, there's actually a Skool help doc that goes into it in great detail. I have all of that here. So we could always talk about what these things mean, but rather than just lecture you on definitions, I figured it'd be better for us to show and talk about a few things. So
I
these
just
are,
wanted to
go ahead.
mention real quick is if
Yes.
somebody wants to get to that help doc, you see right in the bottom where it says analytic definitions right here. That is where you can click and it will take you directly to the help doc.
Yep. You got it. All right. Let's see here. We got a couple more. Tracy says, is there a place in the current dashboard to see total about page visitors in 30 days? Yes. Yes. We will talk about that here in just a second, Tracy. You're going to see it live and in action. Jacob says, is the desktop version more detailed than the mobile version of the analytics? I've been quite impressed with the mobile version. It looks to be, just to me, a very compressed version of the desktop. So I can actually pull you up and show you because I do not have a ton of data myself, but I'll just throw it in the camera for those of you who are curious. That way you can see it. So yeah, you do get to click on conversion rate and see, like, here I'm testing ads and things like that. It's pretty crazy. It's actually quite insane that you can have this on your phone. Again, I just to reference a real example, about 6 years ago, one of the biggest revolutions that we had in our business was the fact that we hired several app developers. They coded a custom app for us, and we essentially built our own version of this. And it took a ton of time, effort, and money to create that. and School's just giving it to you in the palm of your hand for $9 a month. It's like it's the craziest thing ever. Great questions. Keep them coming. If I'm saying something too fast or I'm not explaining it, just let me know. I'm always happy to dive back in. But yeah, these are the numbers and the metrics that we're going to go in and talk about. So I'm gonna see if I can give you guys this doc as well. I'll figure out a way to get it to you because I do have breakdowns for each and every one of these things as well. But are there any questions about these basic numbers and what we're looking at here before we kind of dive in a little bit deeper? Let me know if there are some top line questions. Very quickly, just so you guys could see, members, right? These are the amount of people that are in your community, the MRR, how much money you're making, the conversion, right? How many people are actually joining, and then how do you keep members? One question that I do see is how do you get retention above 100%? That's actually pretty crazy. Oh, and I think Victoria is asking about retention too. I'm a little confused with retention. I started in October. I had 99 new, 30 churn, but it says I have 100% retention. Great question. Great question. Jenna is sharing her numbers as well, which is awesome. So yeah, here's how retention can work, right? Depending on if you have people that return to your community, if you have people in typical SaaS, it would also be like, do they upgrade? So it's going to vary based off of the type of product that they have. But retention essentially is going to be how many new people do you have? How many existing people do you have? How many people leave? And this will be the total. And again, what they're measuring here is over a 30-day period. So in October, you are looking at basically the entirety of October. And did you just start it, Victoria? Would be my question. Because if the community is brand new, it's impossible to have a 30-day churn when it's only like been 30 days or whatever since you started doing this or since this kind of data is there. So let me know. Yes, yeah. Okay, so if you started in October, that would explain it. As you continue to go forward, your October cohort, the group of people who signed up for your community in October, those are going to be the ones that you will continually see, and I'll show you some real examples of it. Those are the ones that you're going to see as, ideally, all of them stay and all of them have a great time, right? But let's say two of them leave. You'll be able to see that, and two of them leave every month. Let's say your churn is 2%, yeah, out of 100 people, right? Two leave, two leave, two leave. You'll be able to see that in the engagement cohorts, which I have a screenshot of as well, and we will talk about it. Jenna shared what it looks like in mobile, so go and check the chat if you. I should have made a screenshot about that. It's my bad, but check the chat for those of you live. That's the bonus for being here. One of the bonuses for being here live is you get the real-time information. All right, so next one is this is the MRR screen. So we've clicked on this, and now we're looking at cash flow. And cash flow is quite simply the flow of cash. How you getting money in? How much money you getting in? You keeping it? Great. This is how you can look at that and understand that at a 30-day basis. So Skool does all of these things broken out. If you have specific questions on these, let me know. But ultimately, we can screen share my free community whenever you'd like to look at it, Matt. Awesome. So this is where you're going to be able to go and see the entire breakdown of your business. Again, being able to track this stuff like as easy as hovering your mouse or tapping your finger is wild to me. It's like bananas crazy that we are able to get all of this information. So we are basically looking at cash in, cash out. And each of these tall bars, basically, that we're looking at right here, this is the movement of the money, and they have it broken out by color. If you are colorblind, I am sorry. Hopefully, there is a way that you can adapt the browser to get this. But at the very least, you'll be able to see these things, and I'm sure Skool will expand upon that. I know accessibility is an important thing there. But at a glance, it is very easy to look at these things through color if you do have the ability to do that, right? So this will tell you visually, oh, is there green, which is good, or is there like yellow and red, which is bad? And if you see a lot more green, yay. If you see a lot more yellow and red, oh no, not good. So this is essentially answering when you look at it, you're saying, how much did we actually keep each month after costs, right? Because affiliates and fees are not bad. Those are actually good things, but they are a cost to your business because if you are giving out affiliate commissions, right? If you're using School, these fees are a part of the process. That is the ecosystem that they built for you, and it is quite very much a privilege to be able to have this. Not trying to tell you how to feel. I'm just saying like the fees are very much worth it to be a part of it. Now, one question that I did see in Schoolers when I did make a post about this was, are the fees for my school platform fee taken out of this? And that is no. No, they are not. So payouts are very, very different than payments. And what I mean by that is you make a payment to School. That's very different than School making a payout to you where they are giving you money. It's all about who you're giving the money to. So for those of you who have additional questions about that, let me know. But this does not factor in, as far as I know right now, it does not factor in your actual school fee. These are fees on the money that you have brought in. So this would be the 2.9 plus 30 cents or the 3.9 plus 30 cents, which again is like the lowest of any platform ever. So School is delivering on that promise that they have of the most for the least with the best quality. I think that's the saying. Hopefully so. Let me know if you guys have any questions about that. I do see there's a couple more chats. Let's make sure I caught up. I have Blue too. I'm guessing that's free members. Yes, I believe so. I don't know. I don't think they actually went over an explicit free community in that metric in the call, but I'll check and see. Oh, no, we do. We do. Yes, I think, or wait, no, we did talk about this a little bit. We didn't talk about this one yet because I haven't drawn on it. Okay. So inside of here, you do have Blue as well. Thank you, Tracy, for pointing that out. And the Blue is basically going to be like who is in the MRR version, right? It's going to be who is existing. And in the free version, it's just going to be like who are the members. So all this data is going to be applicable to paid communities, and then free communities are just going to have all the money stuff taken out of it. So when you get to start to have a paid community, and I think it was Veronica that like just started in October, I wouldn't even be like concerned about your numbers until at least 90 days in. Pay attention, like don't ignore it. Don't just not look at it, right? But you're gonna have a much better idea after you've gone through, let's say, a full quarter of the business. So at least if you've had 90 days, you're really going to be able to see and tell a lot more about what's going on. Let's see. Blue is likely under members section versus MRR. The colors look a little different for light mode versus dark mode. Yes, that also is a good point. Very good point, Jenna. If you're looking at it in light mode and dark mode, the things do kind of they try to contrast it so that you could see it a little bit. Jacob has a good question here. How would tiers change this? I imagine this would be separated by tier. I don't know if I actually have a screenshot for that specifically. I think it would be classified here under upgrades. But I have tiers in my community, but I do not have like I just have a paid tier and a free tier. I do not have multiple tiers where it's like these are all the different versions of it. Does anybody here have multiple tiers with multiple different people paying different things? If so, that would be really cool to see and know about. But for now, I'll keep diving into this one here. So when we're looking at this screenshot here, we're looking at the $228 of MRR. What is this actual breakdown from October? So you have the $50, right, which is the new stuff. You have the upgrades, which I would imagine are the people that are, maybe getting a higher tier, something to that effect. The existing, which is your current business. So this is going to be able to tell you what you had when you started this 30-day period. So School is very much measuring on like 30 days and a year now. I was even talking about it earlier, thinking in 7 days. That was the old. Now we are with the new 30 days, 1 year. That's going to make things a lot clearer for people. Because if you're looking at things on a day-by-day basis as well, that can be, in my opinion, a little bit much. We did that at Monday, but Monday was making millions of dollars a day, and so we needed to just make sure that everything was going well, and it was our job to also report on that and keep everybody up to date. Something like this, though, I would definitely say check on it every few days, once a week. Definitely try to check on it at least once a month. It really depends on your comfort level. You do want to be able to spot trends and patterns, as we said, so that's going to be something that's very important. So churn, for those of you who are not familiar with it, that's basically when somebody leaves. So if somebody leaves the community, we call that churn. If somebody downgrades, let's say you had a $10 tier and a $5 tier, and they said, I don't need the $10 tier anymore, that would be classified as a downgrade. And again, MRR is the total amount of money for the month. Let's see, blue. Okay, y'all got some other comments going on here. All right, so up next, this one is something that you guys will all see, whether you are free or paid. And this is the conversion tab. And conversion is going to show you both the about page conversion. So somebody who is a stranger, they see your page and they click to join either your free group or your paid group. They click to join maybe a free trial or they join right immediately as paid. This is where you're going to get the breakdown of all of these things. And to Victoria's question earlier, what's a good amount of information that you need to process? Uh, I would just say try to focus on getting several hundred, two, three, four, ideally, about page visitors so that you can track and see. But looking at this on a day-to-day basis, here's the point, right? You will have high highs and low lows, and especially if you are not getting thousands of visitors a month, this isn't really going to be indicative of something that's helpful for you. Now, where this could matter for people who are doing outreach, as an example, let's say you decided that you were going to do a very specific type of outreach. I have a cold outreach where I say, "Hey, I'm sorry for acting like a vampire. That's what a cold DM is like. But if you let me inside, I'll tell you about my offer. If you don't like it, like a gluten-free vampire staring at a fresh tray of garlic bread, I will leave your life forever." I That kills, by the way. If you want the script, I'm happy to send it to you. It kills even when it's not Halloween, especially when it's not Halloween, actually. But if you were going and testing, let's say, a new form of outreach, a new form of ads, a new form of some other thing, being able to have this on a day by day basis is much better, much more helpful because you could see, oh, well, I tested this here, I tested this here. It's working much better. Let me change it. Ooh, conversion rates down, conversion rates down, conversion rates down. So if you are spending a lot of time and effort to try and grow these things versus, let's say, maybe you have a social media channel where you're bringing people in, that's when I would say, yeah, go granular. Look at it day by day. Kills like a vampire. Exactly right, Jenna. Exactly right. And Jacob says, these were confusing before. I love that we're talking about it now. Awesome, dude. I'm super glad to hear that. So yeah, just performance day by day. That's how I would look about it. If you are trying new methods, new things, new advertising, go and check it on a day by day basis. Where I am at in Austin, Texas, I believe it refreshes at like 6 or 7. And then only then will it show you the previous day. So make sure that you're looking at the right day also, because it doesn't reflect in real time. My understanding of it is that it will update the previous day at UTC like midnight. So that's for me, it's like my 6 p.m. or something. And this is beyond analytics, but Victoria says, is there any way to create tracking URLs to test more accurately? Victoria, I hope that they will give us much more about that in Analytics V2. But right now, I have a workaround. We could find the post for you and I can send it to you. But pro tip for those of you who are trying to grow your free or paid groups, just something to be cognizant of, is every unique member has a unique referral code inside of their school, right? It's like L9804, right? It's like the reference link after it. You'll notice it because it'll have like a question mark and say ref. So what you can do is you can actually go and ask your members for their referral link. If it's a free community, super easy. If it's a paid community, maybe you want to like invite other URLs or sorry, other people. Like you make multiple accounts. I don't encourage that, but just it's a workaround. And then once you have this URL, you can go and actually use that as a DM tactic, a sales tactic, an ad tactic to say, oh, well, if Bob, I got this from Bob and Bob is sending me all this marketing effort that I used Bob's URL on, that's the one that's working. The one that I used for Bill, not working so good. So we'll axe the Bill one, and that will help. So just a pro tip there: if you do want to try to get more granular with your tracking until they give us more abilities to do this, that's a strategy that could be super helpful for you. All right. Oh, and just to explain, yes, the black line here is basically how many of the people actually joined each day, right? So that's your conversion rate. So here's a good example of like not really having a ton of data. So this is when you click on the free trials section underneath the conversion if you have a paid community. They don't actually tell you what the average or ideally the median is. When it comes to data, you typically will. This is like a personal opinion versus like a data science sort of thing. But the average can pretty much be skewed. I personally like looking much more at the median if you want to get like a bigger picture view. The average still matters and makes sense. That's more of a math thing, and I'm not a math guy by nature. But you do want to make sure that you are paying attention to the right signal. Somebody who does this incredibly, incredibly well is Evelyn Weiss. She puts out a ton of free content on YouTube if you're not a paid member of her program. But she goes in and manually tracks these things. And she is thankfully working closely with the Skool team. She's like directly working with Sam and the team. But she's already uncovered a few like errors and mistakes and things that needed to be corrected that the Skool team was then able to like fix right away. So ultimately, trust that you could trust the data that you have here, but check it. Check it to be safe. Check it to be sure. Look at your members, right? Look at your numbers, run those. So Evelyn looks at both the Skool data and she has a spreadsheet, but her business is quite large, right? She's doing six figures. So that kind of stuff can make a big difference now. Yeah, the traffic challenge is insane, Victoria, absolutely insane. So this one is about free trials, and this is basically showing you how many people started a free trial, how many people converted. And again, you just want to look for the patterns in what you are doing and how that, I want to say correlates because that's like the word that comes to mind, but I need to make it more simple. How that directly applies to the efforts that you were doing. And another thing that's not really covered here is the quality of your traffic matters a lot. There is a very big difference when you go speak at a conference and go invite a bunch of people at this conference who never heard about you before, but they listen to you talk for an hour, like you guys listening to me. And then I say, hey, make sure you join Jenna's community. Also, I have a community where I post about stuff every day. Come join my community. That's a lot different than if I was to make an ad and say, my community Improve Daily is going to help you improve daily. So if you want to improve daily, join Improve Daily, right? Like those things are going to be very different about the people. By the way, my community is called Improve Daily, if you didn't guess. So that gives you a clear indication of kind of each of these steps. Now let's talk about MRR and retention in correlation here. We have seen that from some ads. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So the quality of your traffic is not something that's going to be explicitly shared here, but one of the things that's just general business advice is if you are trying something new and you've already maxed out more and you're doing it better, but if you are trying something new because you're getting started or whatever, um, think very, very carefully about putting those things into experiment blocks of time, for example, right? Like if you're trying a new outreach method, do it for at least 7 days or 30 days, even. If you're trying a new ad, right, don't try to change too much stuff because if you change 10 things, like let's say, for example, you're cooking for Thanksgiving tomorrow in the States. If you go and add 14 different spices to the stuffing and the stuffing tastes like crap, you're like, oh no, what? It was so good before, and we had 12, but we added 14, and now it's like one of these two. I'm not even sure. That will give you a mismatch in the data. You won't be able to actually understand how this data is affecting your business. So change one thing at a time. Be very simple. Be very focused. That makes a difference. So again, we are in the retention side, and we are looking at the monthly category. Each of these bars here that you guys are seeing, this is each month and they show you what's changed inside of your customers. And again, it is based off of color here, but you could see, let's zoom in, right? We've got the green here with the upgrades. So this would be people that maybe take a higher tier. Maybe they go annual. I think annual applies to this. I'm not sure. I don't have annual in my community, so I haven't checked it myself, but I believe that applies. There's also reactivation. Maybe somebody, they left because it wasn't the right time and they came back. That would be what is considered a reactivation. Downgrades, as we talked about, churn, as we talked about, downgrades are when people take lower payments. Churn is when they just leave forever and they're gone. But hopefully they come back and become a reactivation. And that will show you your retention on revenue. So this is all explicitly about keeping that money, which we all want to do. So ultimately, this chart is basically saying of the people who are already your customers, are you making more, you making less, or you keeping things about the same? So we're diving into another existing example, and this is instead of right here, we talked about monthly retention. Now we are talking about members. And so we're going here, and this is again, like we're kind of going back, but this is a new example here. This was what Sam and Kirby shared about something that's going generally well. So you could look at this one and say, okay, we have more customers now than we lost, and we kept a bunch. Yay, things are good, right? You want to make sure that you have lots of green and blue, and you have very little red, if I were to simplify it as core as I can. Again, each of these bars is broken out by the month that they are in. And when you're looking at a chart like this, a real average business is going to be kind of more like a roller coaster. But ideally, you're stair stepping upwards. Ideally, you are, going up, right? So this is all about the people and not necessarily the money. People can equate to money, but if you're in a free group, you're going to be able to see this kind of information as well, because you could still have people churn from free groups. My group is free, and I have a lot of people churn from it because it's just they don't want to hear from me, or they tried it, they didn't like it. It's fine, but people could choose to leave your community if it's not something that is a fit for them, and so they churn. So this top row here, you could see 639 members. It's the amount of people that are paying. 400 grand, that's how much they're paying per month as a group. 1.4% conversion rate, which is basically, again, out of 100 people, you've got about one or two people that are joining, and 90% retention, which is crazy good. That's how many members are staying month to month. I do hope that in the updated Skool Analytics that they're going to be sharing more platform information. But again, I would encourage you, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't really look at other people. It's good to have a baseline. I think that's what's important. Understand kind of like what's happening out there. But there is absolutely no way that if your crotcheting community is getting compared to a money community that is like, Spencer the goat, where he's teaching people how to do Facebook ads. There's no comparison there. The only way I would compare communities is if you both started them at the exact same time. They're both run by you, and they're both about the same thing, which is pretty much impossible. I don't know why somebody would do that, but maybe you do cohorts and other things, which we'll talk about in a second. So let me know if you guys are having any questions about that specifically. And now we are diving into another example here, which is the same group, but we're talking about the MRR. And you're probably noticing a pattern. What's new? What's old? What's changed? That's basically what all of these things are showing you in about 100 different ways. So you'll be able to see trends over this thing, which is green is good, red is bad, right? Or more negative, I would say. I wouldn't necessarily say churn is always negative. When you think about like the American school system, for example, you hit 12th grade and then you go to college, you're technically churning out of high school. That's a good thing. So just make sure that you're looking at it appropriately. But for most of you, I would imagine that you do want to keep people for as long as possible and increase their lifetime value, also known as LTV. So what we're looking here is buckets of money. So we're not looking at the people anymore, right? And again, yes, green, light blue, light red, red. These are all showing you the different pieces of kind of where people are coming at the business from. And yes, so we do have some interesting insights here that I want to highlight really quickly before we keep going, which is after month 3, because now we're going to be talking about cohorts. After month 3, you generally want to start to see things be fairly consistent. If you are losing tons and tons of people every single month, that's a pattern. It's a bad pattern, and it's one to tell you your program isn't keeping people for what reason. Maybe they mismatched expectations, right? Maybe they didn't get value out of it. Maybe you weren't able to communicate and share with them the things that are important. So just something to be cognizant of. But let's talk about these cohorts, because again, when you have cohorts that are this size, to the question earlier about like what kind of traffic should I be looking at? When do I start to actually pay attention to this? If you have groups that are under 10 people, for sure, it's just going to be really, really hard to look at this and actually take actionable insight from it. It's going to be very, very difficult. But I'm going to explain here in a second what this is. I'm just going to take a quick drink. So, what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at cohorts. Cohorts is just a fancy way to say it's a group of people. And in this group of people, March of 2025, that's the category, the cohort of people. So everybody that joined in March of 2025 is now part of a cohort. Again, this is exactly how we measured things over at Monday, so it's pretty fun to see it here. It is kind of like top tier as everything that Skool does and Sam does. These are the things that are really mattering to businesses that rely on recurring revenue. You want to be able to know, hey, of these groups, this group of March 2025, it's been 7 months, right? Since April, it's been 6 months. Since May, it's been 5 months. So you have this kind of like stair step ladder because of the period of time that you were going through. And what each of these numbers actually says, month one, 64% of these people are active members that you're retaining. So they're doing stuff. They're here, they're committed, they're a part of this. And month two, right? 64. Month three, 64. Month four, though, 42. What does that tell us? Well, some people left. Month three, 42. Month six, 50. Oh, what is that? Oh, actually, somebody came back. That's pretty cool. Month seven, though, 28. Oh, we lost a bunch of people. So when you're looking at cohorts, that's how these graphs always look. They're going to be some varying shade between green and red, and it's going to tell you at kind of like en masse how your business is doing. More green, good. More yellow and red, not so good. But you could tell, okay, generally, right, we are having a problem. If I were to just diagnose this right away, it's very clear to me that as you get the like actual numbers, it's a little bit more difficult to keep people around months two and three. This is a good size. You have 153 people joining in May, and you can say, okay, 50% of them stuck around. That could definitely be better. But then a bunch of people have left by month two. You are hemorrhaging people and money, and this business is not healthy right now. So when you look at the weighted average, that's basically just where are kind of like the gaps overall. And you can see you tend to keep people around 50% of the time in month one, and month two, you've lost almost everybody. There's only 30% of people left. So let me know if you guys have questions about this because I know that that's pretty intense. But yeah, we covered all that. Here's an example of one that is good. Generally, going to be very, very good. And this is the exact same thing, but instead of people, it's the percentage of dollars. So it's the exact same thing, right? How much of those dollars are you keeping in, or whatever your local currency is, right? How much of that value is being retained each month? So it's the exact same thing. How much of the money stays? 80%, then 78, then 75, then 69. The reason why you would want to pay attention to this is, again, specifically because when you do a mass amount of advertising, when you do a mass amount of outreach, right? As you go and spend the money, you want to know how long is that payback period of the money. If I spend $30 to get a $10 customer that pays me every month, and they always tend to stay until month five, well, if I spent 30 and I get 10 each month, then month three is my payback period. So I need to be really paying very close attention to the third month because I got to make sure that I'm not hemorrhaging my dollars. If I'm spending money to advertise, I need to make sure I get that money back. Otherwise, I'm going to be broke. I don't have a business. I have a money burning, like I have a fire pit that I throw my money into. So that's where you're really going to want to be able to pay attention to this. But as you get more members, you get more cohorts, you get more time, these numbers are going to be much more helpful for you. Again, based off of the month, and then you have that weighted average here as well. Let's look at a unhealthy version. So let's say somebody bought your community and they joined in October of 2024. 100 people join us. They're a part of my community. Yay. And then almost a year later, 6 of them are left. What does that tell you? Well, that tells you that I'm not running a community. I'm running a course. And that course is basically pretty much done by month two. But some people like to stick around. Maybe they take their time. But 6 out of 100 people is pretty horrible metric. So you are not going to be able to build a healthy business off of this. You are basically selling courses and programs and not an actual community. Things got a little better because I maybe January 2025, I marketed it a little bit better. I changed the classroom. I did a few things. Again, you always want to tie this back to actual behavior. If nothing is changing in your business, if you're always doing the exact same form of outreach or the exact same ad or the exact same thing, this isn't really going to be useful for you. But if you're testing, measuring, iterating, improving, as hopefully all of you here are, then you'll be able to actually see, okay, January, we're cooking with gas a little bit. It's getting a little bit better. And you could really pay much more attention to it, right? When you're looking at these cohorts, you really want to try to give this as much time as you can before you make an actionable decision. But even in month one, I could tell, okay, January's a little bit better, February's a little bit better, June's a little bit better, August and September much better. And you'll be able to tell over time what that looks like, and you'll be able to pay attention to those weighted averages as well. Same thing. Now we're looking at number of active members, very, very healthy. You get people in, they tend to stick around by month 11, but it's not ideal. I would still want, if I have 100 people join, that a year from now, maybe you have 60 or 70 of them left. That's a very rough estimate. Depends a lot on the niche and what you're doing and how you're participating in your space. But yeah, we could use a real example here of November of 2024. So let's dive in a little bit there. 52 people joined, right? So not a bad metric here. And then you see that 94% stick around in month one. So there was a very good alignment with the actual traffic that we were bringing in, and people liked it. They stuck around and they engaged, right? By the end of month three, almost half those people are gone. So that will tell you something very important about your business, which is how many people basically are you keeping after month three? What are you doing to kind of make that onboarding process smooth? Are you just selling them and then completely forgetting about all of this? It's really going to tell you a lot more about the health of your business. But that being said, if we're looking at it, they do tend to stick around after this month three. This cohort is pretty sticky once they get past month three. So your understanding is, how do I take more people to that third month? And then that alone will give you actionable data to say, okay, if I'm averaging people at month three, what can I be doing in month one and month two to make sure that in month three they stick around? Because that will make them much more likely to stay committed to the program, to stay committed to the community, and be a active and engaged member. So last slide here. Thanks for listening to me ramble on and on about this, and for asking all these great questions. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. Now we are looking at the unit economics, and you see some interesting things here. ARPU, LTV. What the heck is this stuff? Well, this is essentially saying how much money is the average person bringing in, average revenue per user, ARPU. And then LTV, lifetime value. So to use Evelyn as an example, because she has this traffic challenge and she talks a lot about this too. She knows that on average, her members tend to stick around between like 6 and 12 months. But she knows the exact LTV of each of her customers, right? I'm just going to make it up because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But she knows that whenever she brings in a user, that they're going to be they're worth $500 to her, right? You obviously she cares a lot about the people, but we're trying to look at the economics of the business. So we're not just saying people are money, but you get this. She knows the average person is going to stick around and give her $500. What does that tell her? Well, that tells her a lot of information, because now if the average person is worth $500, she could probably feel pretty good about spending $100 to get a $30 a month customer. That tells you, okay, the payback period might be 3 or 4 months. Hers is actually much better than that. I'm just using this as an example. But the LTV will say, okay, if you know that each customer is worth this over the course of their entire experience with you, that tells you exactly how much money you could be spending on ads, the health of your business, profit margins, all that fun stuff. So you're getting down a whole another thing there when we're talking about all this stuff. But Skool gives this to you on a silver platter or a light or dark mode, depends on how you engage with it there. And so this is telling you about the health of your business by how much revenue is each person bringing, And then how long are they staying? What are they actually worth to you? Every time you get a customer, they are likely going to be spending this amount of money with you. So that will help you understand what all the aspects are, all the different opportunities that you could take for your business. So we covered a lot. I know that is a ton. You guys are probably going to have questions after the fact. And like let's talk about it in the community. Where Jenna, I believe, is going to have the recording for this, so we'll be able to kind of go over it as well. This information here is literally what Skool has on their website. I just copied and pasted it. So you could go and see, for those of you who are wondering where you find that information, right here under analytics definitions. So if you're ever wondering, just remember Jenna and Matt told you to go click analytics definitions, and that will be updated much more regularly. I think the Skool team is updating it basically every time they're adding something new, or maybe getting better language or better understanding from customers. Whenever we had people, I used to run the support team at Monday. We had people asking a lot of questions about a certain thing. We'd make a help doc about it. So keep an eye on that stuff. That'll be expanding. But that's it. That is, well, that's not it. That's basically the can of worms is now open, and hopefully you have a better understanding of your data. But that's what I've prepared for today. So thanks for being
Let
here, friends,
me
and hope that you all are growing your free groups immensely. Your status is increasing, and I hope for your paid groups that people are sticking around and your cohorts are all at 100%. But that's it.
That'd be awesome.
Any
Um,
questions, comments? Oh, we got one here. Let's see. Yeah. So Jenna gives a very good point here. Once you understand the LTV of a customer, it also lets you know what kind of weekly prizes that you could do if you want to. Evelyn has an accountability one that Jenna's talking about, and it helps with engagement there. So yeah, she understands what those economics are so that she can support the business and get people excited. Jacob says, maybe I missed this, but would only charging a one-time fee change how you should look at it? Absolutely, absolutely. But that data is gonna, again, all this stuff that we talked about here, um, is coming at you from a very general lens. How you should operate in your business with your group, those are all going to be very, 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 very specific. So if you guys are like, hey, this is my group, this is my offer, this is my thing, let's talk about it. Post in Jenna's community. Tag me. I will do my best to get back to you. I'm not the fastest in terms of replies, but I'm always happy to help. Let's see here. Tracy says LTV is per member. Yes, that is the way that it should be. Um, I do not have a clear LTV number for my thing because I've only recently started it, but LTV in general for any type of recurring revenue business model is going to be for every 100 people that stick around, how many of them are sticking around for this amount of time? They take that time, they take your revenue and unit economics of that, and they say each member is probably going to give you $1,000 or $10 or whatever your lifetime value is. So that is lifetime of their lifetime with you, not their own lives. Just for those who might be wondering, is it because they die or something? No, it's like how long they engage with you in your business. Other questions, comments, feedback, anything I could do better? Feel free to rip up my presentation as well. There's a lot of cool things here available now. I can only imagine how insane this is going to be when they actually have traffic attribution. That is like one of the hardest things for a company to get right when they're measuring how their efforts are going. And when people start to see exactly how many people Skool's bringing, when they start to see whether their ads are working or not, who the best affiliates are, I mean, it's gonna open up a. We should probably do another session like this one, Jenna, when not to just like self promote or whatever, but attribution is a big deal. It's pretty straightforward, but it is quite a big deal. Okay, Tracy says my membership is $9 and LTV is showing as 540 for September. I had no idea what these numbers meant, so thank you. Oh, thank you. I mean, that's awesome. That's that is super super good. I would double check that unless you have like a ton of data. The thing that jumps out for me is that if it's $9 and it's $540 of LTV, that would mean they stay with you for a very, very, very long time. Or maybe you have an upsell, a course, something else there. So my question to you would be, I can already tell that there's a bit of a discrepancy there. Do you have upgrades or other things that attribute to that? That would be my question. Because if it says LTV is 540, then that is quite good. My membership is new, but retention is good so far. No upgrades. Cool. Yeah, yeah.
Can you
LTV
hear
is really
me?
going to be something that you'll want to know and look at after you've had, let's say, 6 months of a program. You'll have a better idea of what LTV looks like because a lot, as you could see just by looking at these examples, these are great examples that Sam and Kirby pointed out. By month 3, month 6, you tend to lose a lot of people for it's like for a lot of these things. You will have a very clear understanding of your business once you actually have 2 quarters under your belt, ideally a year, because then you'll be able to say, okay, 2025 was X, 2026 was Y. What is the difference? What does this look like? Has LTV been growing? Has it been shrinking? Right? You'll be able to get a lot more information from that.
Can you hear me,
Other
Matt?
questions, comments? Anything else you guys are curious about? Uh, oh, I can't hear Jenna. Hold on.
Can you hear me? I am
Ah,
talking. Can
so
anybody else
sorry.
hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. I was
Oh,
my headset had shut off from lack of power, so I'm gonna plug it in, but I'll mute myself.
okay. No problem. I was going to bring up my free community and then also my hobby community so we could look through those and like see how they're clickable. Um, can you still hear me, Matt?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to do that right now so we can
Yeah,
kind of
let's
just
do
show
it.
them? Okay. I like how Zoom
Uh,
is like zooming different ways on you. I'm
yeah,
like,
that's
there you go, across the screen. Okay.
yeah. Sorry
All
about that.
right.
My headset was inactive with sound, so it turned off by itself.
No worries. Mine was saying weird things like I needed to close out all browsers, and I was like, what? All right. Okay. Can you see that?
Sure can.
All right. So I've had this community for right around a year now,
Very
and
nice.
it's been always a free community, but I have taken payments through here. And right now, and I haven't done very much with the About page within the last 6 months. I've done a lot of testing with this community in how many calls I've done, what that has done for the engagement. If I go quiet for a bit, can I get engagement to get ramped back up? Like so many different things so that I can explain it. But I wanted to go through these things. And again, here you can see it's clickable and we could go there. But these are also clickable. So this is what we were trying to show you um, on here. So when you click through these, you'll be able to see. And because I don't have, this is a free community, I don't really have retention issues. And so there's just like no data available. And this is what it will look like if you don't have any.
Yep.
But if you're taking payments through here, you can also see cash flow. So you might have something that like if you do like run a service or something, you'll be able to see like, oh man, you made a lot of money this time and what the fees were.
That's so awesome.
And then
My question to you, just off of looking at this, would be that
mhm,
there was some form of marketing or exposure that happened for you in August. Because if you go back and look at the members, you can see the
mhm,
just visually, right? Oh, look at that
mhm.
spike, right? 187 new versus July, which was, let's see, yeah, 64. So 64 versus 187 is quite large. Which did you start moderating in August?
I actually started moderating in June,
Oh,
um,
interesting.
but we had a good amount of people join School in general in August
Mm,
when the Hormozy wave happened.
that's
And
true.
then a lot more people were being moderated. And I've had a lot of people that are like when they're moderated in schoolers, there's a lot of times they genuinely like just didn't understand and wanted to learn more about school. So then they check my profile out and they end up joining the free community. But that's also where I get a good amount of churn too. So,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Do you guys see what we just did? So I visually saw, hey, there's a spike here. What does that mean? And Jenna supplied me with the context. So when you're looking at your numbers, try to understand what are the outside forces that are impacting the data that I'm seeing. I was like, hey, didn't you start moderating? Was that in August? And you said, no, there's the story. So that's how you guys can also look at your own numbers and hopefully get some intelligent insight that will, be an actual behavior change. But anyway, keep going, Jenna.
and you will also notice though, like right in here, I was really active um, also with my YouTube and everything. But then right in June, you can see it start to go up too, just even from the little small blip of being a moderator as well.
Hmm.
Um, when we look at the engagement, this is like part of the interesting area. When I tested a little bit in this area section of December and January, and then I left it to the community because I wanted to see how the community would do. And you'll notice that it wasn't they weren't as retained, and it took a little bit more effort to teach people to be more community rather than me just teaching, rather than me just doing all these calls.
Yep.
So you could just, it shows right there, and then everybody that's pretty much been there from the very beginning has always stayed, you know like
That's
my
awesome.
my first 5 people. And conversion. So when you want to slide around on here and look at these things, I don't have any like data on free trials. So I've never just done free trials to a free community. It didn't make sense. And there's one thing I think Tracy was asking about is like if I wanted to know how many about page visitors I had for November. This is something where I would probably have had hired somebody to track, or I would have had like an automation, honestly, grab all this data and collect it for me so that I don't have to go. November 1st, I had 16 visitors. November 2nd, I had 10 visitors, when you're trying to
Yep.
add up how many visitors you had for the month. That's where those kind of tools are really useful. And then, Jacob, I wanted to show you. So, this is what you can see with a pro community. I also have my outside community. And this is where I was like, I can see the blue here, but when you'll see right here, I would have to upgrade to pro to see the engagement cohorts. And then this didn't look blue to me, it looked green. So that's why I was like, I don't know. This doesn't, like, is she talking about the MRR or the members? So yeah, it is a little bit different with the dark mode. And then you won't have unit, but you will have cash flow for the hobby community.
Makes a lot of sense.
And
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a free trial. Yeah. And then 100% retention. July, we must have lost $1.
Brutal. You'll never
One.
recover.
Nope, not at all. So that's what the difference is. Do you want to look at anything on here, or is that pretty
No, I
much
think,
good?
yeah, I think Tracy's making a good point is the daily data is like okay, but generally you want to make decisions on as much data as you can possibly get. For most people, looking at things on a daily basis is not going to be helpful. Where that would change is, are you trying a new method of outreach, a new method of advertising? Did you change things, right? Are you doing an experiment? That's when you would want to pay attention to the day to day. Otherwise, you probably just need to be marketing more, being in your community more. Those are the things that are going to really matter.
Yep. In fact, I would say from everything that I have looked at, like overall on all the Skool communities and all the people that I've talked to, then the one thing that they like, people are always asking about engagement, retention. How do they make an offer? How do they price it? Rather than focusing on the one thing that they need to spend the most time on, and that's traffic.
Yep.
So definitely. You're welcome, Jacob.
Our pleasure.
Very happy
Great,
to.
great questions, y'all.
All right. Well, we will have this recording. And thank you, Matt, for doing this for us. We'll probably post it also in Schoolers. So if anybody has questions, they can just drop them in comments and we'll try to answer. We want to make sure that everybody feels super empowered by analytics rather than just feeling like, it's one more thing to learn and I don't know what I'm doing. So,
Yeah, I mean,
all
I'm
right.
sure I'm not the only one, but there are strange, lovely people out there that actually really like data and these kinds of things. I bet a bunch of them are in schoolers. I am obviously happy, so feel free to tag me, and I'm happy to give some insights from that kind of large corporate perspective. But you can really make some very impactful things when you have the data, and now we've got so much more. So thank you for the opportunity, Jenna, and thanks for all the great questions, everybody.
Thank you guys for being here. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.